Welcome back to the best podcast here on YouTube. The Gridiron Gurus are back to give you an update on how we think free agency is going so far.
All right, I'm going to start us off, and we're going to talk about Sam Bradford going to the Arizona Cardinals. We're just going to do this in a team order first. So, Sam Bradford going to the Cardinals. This is a spot that they were looking at ever since Carson Palmer had went down. They needed a spot where they needed a player where they could fill this gap with, and they think Sam Bradford is the key. Now, they got this from the Minnesota Vikings, who lost Teddy Bridgewater, Case Keenum. They lost all their quarterbacks and then took Kirk Cousins in. So I think this is a great deal. They paid $20 million for him on a one-year contract. Let's just hope he produces like he did in Minnesota when he did play and when he was healthy. Let's just see if he can stay healthy for a full season and get the production that $20 million is worth.
This dude right here, Sam Bradford, proves that. Excuse me. But Sam Bradford proves that as long as you're the number one overall pick, you'll get chance after chance after chance. This man has not won. What big games has he won in his career? And he still gets contract after contract after contract. I don't know. I mean, it's the best they could do. I'm just glad it's on a one-year deal because Arizona has to trade up and get somebody. Set this rookie down, and then Sam Bradford will be on his way. But, I mean, it's the best you're going to do. Sam Bradford is overpaid, overhyped, and just only gets these chances because he was the number one pick in the draft. It's pitiful.
All right, now I'm going to talk about Ryan Grant. He did sign with the Baltimore, or he was going to sign with the Baltimore Ravens. He happened to fail a physical for that reason. I don't really know. But he would have signed on a 4-year, $29 million deal. And I think that is a big deal to the Ravens and him. He's losing out on his contract. But the Ravens lost Jeremy Maclin, I believe he was cut. He was cut, so they needed something. They needed a little bit of a receiver spot. They needed to add depth. They needed Joe Flacco a weapon, okay? And this guy would have at least given them some hope of some light to go into it. Every team's goal is to make it to the Super Bowl, and you got to have talent to do that. And this guy would have at least given them a shot at Joe Flacco throwing to a talented receiver, getting yards, yada yada yada. It's sad that he failed his physical and could not play for this team.
I agree completely. Ryan Grant was not really a great receiver, but you got to pay for what's out there, and he was one of the better options out there. And now that he's failed his physical, he will not sign. I expect him to hop back on the market. I know they've signed another wide receiver as well, John Brown. He played with the Cardinals. He was a burner for them, so I expect him to take over Macklin's spot, and they'll probably get back in the market. Maybe Crabtree's out there, and in the draft, I expect them to target receiver in the draft.
All right, moving on to the Bills signing A.J. McCarron on a 2-year, $10 million deal. My apologies. That's big for them. Nathan Peterman was, after losing Tyrod Taylor, their starting quarterback as of right now was Nathan Peterman, and we saw what he did in 30 minutes or 60 minutes last time, and it was awful. So getting this guy is big. I still think they'll want to try to find a quarterback in the draft. They'll want to find something else because A.J. McCarron was a backup for a reason at Cincinnati. I think he could be a starter elsewhere like here. I think that he could start for the next season and train the rookie that they draft, give him what an NFL experience is like. I think this is a big pickup, and I think that if he produces well in Buffalo, he could be more of a franchise quarterback in the coming years.
All right, I agree completely. I think that this man deserves his shot. He just has been stuck behind Andy Dalton in Cincinnati. But when we did see this man, he was leading to the playoffs. He had him in position to win that game until several mistakes, several penalties led him, the Steelers to kick that game-winning field goal a few years ago. If you remember that big old controversy when Antonio Brown ended up missing that title game against the Patriots, I think it was 2 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds right. But he deserves a shot to be a franchise quarterback. Who knows? He was very well at Alabama. That's the last time we really saw him in a full kind of season. So we'll see. I think he'll have the opportunity to start over Nathan Peterman and probably a rookie if they're good, because the way it's looking like they'll try to trade up again like the Eagles did a few years ago to get Carson Wentz.
Now, I'm just going to name 3 names right here. This is all on the same defensive line. It's an all defensive lineman. They got Trent Murphy on 3-year, $21 million. They got Star Lotulelli, however you pronounce that name, 5 years, $50 million. And then they got Kyle Williams for a 1-year, $6 million deal. And I like this personally. It starts up front, okay? Offense starts up front when you run the ball with the offensive line. Defense, it starts up front right there. If you don't have a defense that can break blockers and go sack a quarterback or go tackle a running back, that means. Let's think about it. If you don't have a defensive line that can stop somebody, that means they're getting to the linebackers, which are usually 5 yards back. So that means they're getting 5 yards after 5 yards after 5 yards after 5 yards. that's a first down every 2 plays, and it's either 3 and out or they're going to go down the field and score. So I like that they are trying to bring some star power back to the defensive line. I would like to see them beef up some more on defense. Maybe Kyle Williams, I know, is getting into his older years, but that's an experienced player they can train with. Maybe a rookie they draft on the defense, or maybe something that they go in there. I don't know what they'll try. I know they're going to try to draft a quarterback. That's what I've heard. I think that's what they'll go with. But I like what they're doing so far on the defensive line right here.
Trent Murphy was, as a pass rusher, I think that given his opportunity under Sean McDermott, who's known more for his defense, could really show out. He was pretty good at Stanford. I think he's a former third-round pick, if I'm not mistaken, for the Redskins. Redskins lose another person right there. They're going to have to figure something out on the D-line as well. I expect them to target that. But the Bills beefing up the D-line, I mean, let's make a strength one of the amazing things on this thing. Re-signing Kyle Williams was big. He was a big leader and he deserved it after the great playoff, getting to the playoffs with them last year. And then Star Latulelele, however you say it, I'm telling you that's kind of a harder name to say. But we do know his name is Star, so we're just going to say Star. Signed a big old contract. He coming from the Panthers. He was one of their best younger players for years. He'll be a new cog and a new toy for them to play with. And you see that the former defensive coordinator in Carolina was able to take a player from that. So I'm guessing he's like thinking, I played my best year under him, so let's go back to that. I expect him to have a great year this year under Sean McDermott.
I just got this notification as we're recording this video, but another thing that I don't want to forget about in this video is the Jets just traded Sheldon Richardson to the Vikings right now. So that's another trade that just happened. Right there you go. Sheldon Richardson is going to the Vikings.
They signed a weird deal up here.
But anyways, moving on to
breaking news, folks.
Breaking news.
It happened. The Gridiron Growers are breaking news.
But,
that deadly D-line still not better than the Eagles, though.
Moving on to the Panthers. The Torrey Smith coming from the Eagles via a trade. That's huge for the Panthers, in my opinion. That receiver core hasn't always been the best. A name that always stood out to me is Devin Funchess, and he's not really a great receiver. That was one of their better receivers, in my opinion. Now they get Torrey Smith, who's known kind of as a good receiver, but not a great receiver. He's not an elite receiver, but he's a good receiver. Then they signed Julius Peppers again for a 1-year, $5 million deal, and they got Don Tari Poe from the Falcons. He played for the Falcons. They got him for 3 years, $27 million. That's a big pickup in my opinion. They lost Star Lotulelele, obviously, and now they've picked up something to replace that. Yes. And that defense is what they were known for 2-3 years ago when Luke Kuechly is still their leader, of course, but they had all sorts of guys all over the field. I think this is a piece to the puzzle that they need to get back to the playoffs, to get back to a Super Bowl run like they did a couple years ago when they were 14-2 and Super Cam was Super Cam. I think that they're taking the right approach to this, and as long as they keep doing certain things, they'll improve. Okay, and they had one more player coming in, Rashad Breeland, but once again, he is another player that failed his physical, so he will not be signing with them.
Torrey Smith getting traded away from the Eagles, kind of ironic. I'm glad he got a Super Bowl ring in there, but he's known for his speed, and this was honestly a horrible trade for the Panthers because, in my opinion, the Eagles were about to cut him anyway because he's getting older, and a speedster getting older will not be as fast. I mean, that's depending on how he runs on his route tree. We'll see how that goes. But any upgrade at the wide receiver position is good for Cam. They didn't give up much for him, but he was about to get cut anyway to free up cap space for the Eagles. Then we got Julius Peppers back. That's a Hall of Famer. That's a Hall of Famer on his last leg, so we can't be mad at that. And then we got Don Terry Poe. Star, who we just talked about, was a big loss, honestly. But in my opinion, Don Terry Poe, former 2-time Pro Bowler, is a lot better at this stage. I know he's a little older, but getting a veteran in there will never hurt. It's going to be okay. Moving on to one of the more active teams in free agency, we got the Chicago Bears.
The Chicago Bears, where do I start with? Let's start with Allen Robinson from the Jaguars. Allen Robinson was a huge receiver for the Jaguars. They had one Robinson. What was the other one that was named Robinson? They had 2 Robinsons on their team at receiver, didn't they?
You talking about the Jaguars? Allen and no, it was Allen Hearns.
Oh, they 2 Allens.
2 Allens.
Yeah, 2 Allens. You give him a point. But Allen Robinson was a great receiver, and I think that he can come in here with Mitchell Trubisky and give him a weapon to throw to. That was the problem I saw with Mitchell Trubisky. He didn't really have a weapon to throw to. He didn't really have a star receiver he could look to. I think with this, that will show what true talent Mr. Trubisky has, if he has that true potential. They also signed Taylor Gabriel from the Falcons, I believe it was.
Mhm.
He's on a 4-year, $26 million deal, and that's a speedster that they need. More of a slot threat. He was up behind Julio Jones and Mohamed Sanu and all sorts of people when they went to the Super Bowl. He was on that team.
Yeah.
I think that that's great too. I think he has experience playing in the playoffs. If that's where they're trying to shoot for, you've got to have some playoff experience. Okay, we saw with the Rams. The Rams were a young team that didn't have playoff experience. They got put out early. Now they have playoff experience. I think Taylor Gabriel is going to be more of a slot receiver. He's going to work his way in the slot, but I think that's a good pickup for them. Next, they got Trey Burton, the magical Philly quarterback.
Comes in as their backup quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he is the guy that threw the wide receiver pass touchdown to Nick Foles in the Super Bowl. I think
Really special.
that's just an addition that they needed, kind of. I mean, it was something they could have added because they had the cap room and they did it. I mean, it's something where his motto is you can always improve something, and that was something they just saw they can improve on. Next, they got Aaron Lynch on a 1-year deal coming from the 49ers. I mean, you got to improve. Like I said, you got to improve. And I think that their defensive ends weren't the greatest. I think they had one middle linebacker that was really good on defense. He's more of a veteran leader. I think Aaron Lynch comes in here, learns under him, gets that NFL experience that he needs to, and becomes a good defensive end under the Bears and under his coach. Other than that, they got Cody Parkey on the kicker, and Prince Amukamara. That's another big one at the corner. I know they're known for their veteran corners. They don't really seem to have the younger secondary. They go for a more older, experienced secondary, in my opinion. But we'll see how these new additions. They're one of the more active teams, like you said, and we'll see how all these additions fare in the regular season coming.
Allen Robinson coming off injury, that's going to be a big thing to see. He missed every game, but I think 2 for the Jaguars. He wasn't that big at the end. But everything before he got injured said he was dynamic, huge receiver, and this is a huge signing for the Bears because Trubisky needs weapons. That goes for Taylor Gabriel as well. Probably the fastest player in the league. This man is going to be a great third option. That's what he is, really. Someone that you can give to him out of the backfield and he'll just take it for 40. I mean, he's that fast. This man has game-changing speed. To get him weapons is exactly where you need to go. And defensive coordinator Vic Fangio used to be the defensive coordinator for Aaron Lynch in San Francisco. Well, but anyway, in San Francisco, his rookie year, he had 6.5 sacks. But ever since Vic Fangio left, Aaron Lynch has not played nearly as well. Maybe a career resurgence here, going back under a former defensive coordinator. We're going to see how that goes. You can always improve. Him and Leonard Floyd, former pick from Georgia, I think he went 10th overall a few years ago, could be really good together. We're going to see how that goes under Vic Fangio, one of the better defensive coordinators. The Bears are looking up and was extremely active in free agency.